Welcome to everyone. Today's topic is structural concept for light gauge steel frame systems. This is the outline of the topic. Steel is widely used in construction of multi-story buildings. However, steel construction is seldom used in traditional consideration uneconomically for landed properties. In many parts of the world, timber or steel brickwork is preferred, whereas light gauge steel construction is very similar to wooden frame construction in the principle, whereas this section is made up of cold form steels in the shape of C and S. It is made in room temperature by converting the flat steel into a C or S shaped section. The benefits of the light gauge steel construction is mainly composed of these categories. Buildability. Buildability is the use of prefabricated and pre-assembled constructions, pre-assembled components, reduce steel works, site works by reduce the material wastage and improve the quality. And speed. This denotes the system required a shorter construction period compared to that for conventional system. Strong but lightweight. Steel has one of the highest strength to weight ratio to any construction materials. This results in saving the foundation requirements, and the lightness also makes to easy on-site handling. Safety. Steel inherent strength and non-combustible constructions is enable light steel frame houses to resist such as devastating events such as fire, earthquake, and hurricanes. Home can be used in design higher seismic and wind load specifications. Quality. A better quality finished house that is durable and low in maintenance. Easy to remold. Remold can be easily accomplished. Non-load bearing wall can be readily relocated, removed, or altered. Design flexibility. Because of this strength, steel can be spanned longer length, offering larger opening space and increased design flexibility without require intermediate column or load bearing walls. Recyclable. All steel products are recyclable. And in addition to this, light gauge steel section are non-combustible, and it can be used for fire resisting structures. And also light gauge steel section is non-decomposable, so it can be used in seashore areas where termite attack cannot be done. This figure represent the typical features of steel framed buildings. Now, these are the components of steel framed buildings. Bottom plates denotes a plate that contain a bottom end of the wall struts. The top plate has a web and flange but no lip. Ceiling joist, the horizontal structure frame member that supports the ceiling and or attic loads. C section used for a construction of structural frame members such as strut, joist, beam, girders, and rafters. The name comes from the member C-shaped cross section configuration construction consisting of web, flange, lip. C section web depth and flange width measured use outside diameters. Clip angle, an angle L-shaped short piece of the metal normally with 90-degree bend, typically used for connections. Cold form, a process which light gauge steel members are manufactured without the use of heat. And flange, this is a part of C sections of the track that is perpendicular to the web. Flat straps, this is a steel sheet cut to a specified width without any bends, typically used for bracings and other flat applications. Then flat joist, it is a horizontal structure framing member that support floor loads and galvanized sheet. Steel has a zinc protection coating for resisting against corrosion. The level of corrosion coating is measured by weight of the galvanized coating applied to the surface area to the sheet. It's example G40 and G60. And this is a load path diagram of the steel structures where this is mainly used to determine the requirements of loads. The roof loads, wind loads, wall loads, and floor loads will be transferred all the way down to the ground floor. A steel framed house would normally be built on the reinforced concrete ground floor slabs. The ground floor wall panels would then be fastened and held down to the ground floor slabs. The second story floor bearers would then sit on the top of the wall bearings. Then bearers could be connected and carry the floor joist. The floor joist would be turned carrying the floor loads and the wall panels above. The wall truss would then sits in the wall panels to carry the roof loads and the roof systems. The size spacing of the structural member could depend on the structural load design. It's generally of C75 and C100 section would be used for wall struts as the floor joist that can be chosen for range from section C100 to C25 section depending upon the design load. And connections for steel framings can consist of steel drill screws, bolts, anchors. Welding is usually not required and mechanically fastened would sufficient sufficient most cases. And wall system is of load bearing wall system and non load bearing wall system. Load bearing wall system is one carries a vertical load from the construction above or lateral loads resulting from the wind. This load may be act separately or in a combined, but internal and external wall may be a load bearing wall. All load bearing strut shall be a minimum of C70 G550 colform section. Structural top plate is used to carry a truss load from the roof to the strut, whereas the strut are not located directly under the truss load point. Top plate shall be of G550 colform steel. The top plate shall be secured transversely at a minimum of 1800 mm center by incoming truss or rafters which approved wall support bracket. The bottom plate shall be a minimum of G550 colform section. The bottom plate must be fully supported under several load bearing stunt. This is a critical with a stud besides opening or a stud carrying a major load of roof ceilings or major upper floor constructions. The support can be provided by floor joist, blocking piece, or connecting a structural slab located directly under the struts. Lintels are used for opening the greater than 1200 of load bearing walls. Lintels under the sheet metal roof are principally designed for uplift for wind loads on the structural, while the lintels under the tile roof are designed principally to support the download from this roof truss. Basing is needed in containing wall to provide racking resistance, guides and wind load. It could be in a form of a bracing straps or bracing steel depending on the load requirements. The struts, joist, truss must be properly aligned in the form to transfer the load to the main mentioned below. And non-load bearing, this is an internal wall which do not support thrust load or considered as a non-load bearings. Struts for internal load non-load bearing walls could be a minimum of G550 C75 colform sections. Top plate should be minimum of G550 steel form sections and shall be fixed to truss at 1800 mm maximum center to provide a lateral stability for wall. The connections shall not transmit vertically to the walls. The bottom plate shall be minimum G550 cold-formed sections. Angle lintels are not required for opening in non-load bearing wall frames. And then wall details and connections. These are the typical features of connections. Steel framing is fastened to flow systems through the bottom plate from after all panels had been correctly aligned and plugged. For the for the concrete flow slabs, the frame is fixed in place by using a masonry anchor, which is generally hammer drive nail, expanding shell anchor, or chemically anchored. Exact recommendation for type of frequency of anchor would be available from the steel supplier or engineer. The wall panels are used usually connected together by mechanical fasteners such as steel driving screws. Where this image represents as 10 strut plates nagging sections. This is isometric view of detailed recommendation of BHP steels. This internal to external wall connections are mentioned with the recommended BHP steels. And roof systems. This is the typical roof system which mainly represent a steel truss system which can be designed for metal sheet or tiles. This is a roof truss which typically consists of C75 and C100 steels as a core and web members of truss. Steel roof framing systems can suit all typical roof design. Hip gable, Dutch gables, steel roof sheetings to tiles. When using this wood style roof truss or used to purline as mentioned.